Hi guys, how are you? Wanted to share a update on what's up next. So today's Tuesday, and on Thursday morning, we have decided to do surgery. The surgeon gave us two options last week, which was, or let me step back. 2 weeks ago, we did the laparoscopy, and they found more cancer in there visually. So they didn't pull anything out, and they didn't test it. So we don't 100% know it's cancer, but it looks like cancer. And so there was some more on my left side in my diaphragm, all things that could be removed, but the scans hadn't shown any of that. So that was new. We were worried after that it could dissuade the surgeon from doing surgery. So I think the HIPEC is a surgery we do when, or at least, I don't know, the survivor boards or that I've been on have talked about the HIPEC as like, they tend to do when the prognosis is good. And so if you had like, I don't know, multiple cancers, they might not do the HIPEC. I'm not sure if that's all true. I'm just sharing what I learned, but there was a fear that he might not want to do the surgery, and the way to cure is chemo to get those, at least for my protocol and my colon cancer stage 4. The protocol has been to do 12 rounds of chemo and then surgery. And first year I had surgery first because my tumor was blocking my colon and it was so big. They were afraid it could burst. And obviously that would be really bad. And then I proceeded to do chemo like 6 weeks after surgery, or four weeks after surgery. And I did 12 rounds. Last year I had a reoccurrence. I did 6 rounds of chemo, the HIPEC. And then afterwards it was like, you don't have cancer in your body. You probably don't need to do more chemo. And I was like, all right, I'm going to opt for no more chemo. So focused on recovery, which was great. This year I had the reoccurrence again, and the plan was to do 6 rounds of chemo, surgery, 6 rounds of chemo again. And I did 6. That got me to the middle of July, saw the surgeon, and he made the decision that more than likely we'll have to do big surgery again. And I had 2 weeks of vacation, so we decided we'd probably, come back from vacation, do another round of chemo. So I've done 7 of the 12, and then do surgery. So in advance of this big surgery, there was a bunch of diagnostic things I needed to do. They asked for me to do a colonoscopy, and I know I reported out to you guys that was clear, so that's huge. And then I had to do a laparoscopy the following week, and I shared kind of what happened with that. 2 days after that, I did a scan. Last week, I did blood work and met with the surgeon. So surgery is today's a Tuesday, surgery is in 2 days. And I wanted to share how I've been feeling and then how I'm processing it. One of my commitments to this channel is to be authentic, because there are a number of people that follow the content that are survivors of cancer or caregivers or going through something right now for themselves or a loved one. And, cancer is freaking brutal. Like, it's brutal on so many levels. It is the mind, it's the body, it's the spirit. It really impacts the body. But I think the hardest part is the mental strain in that. It's amazing how much physically you can endure, but if you feel you have no hope, I think all of it goes to shit, basically. So I've worked really, really hard to reframe any challenging stories I have, to give myself a shot of really surviving this. And I don't say any of this to say, like, better way to say this is, I am very much human and having fear on a regular basis and dealing with that stuff. And so that's why I want this channel to be authentic. And I want to share with you guys when I have fear, what that looks like, what that feels like, and what I'm doing about it. And And my hope is for those of you not dealing with cancer and all that stuff, and maybe you're just friends of mine, family that want to hear how I'm doing, there are lessons in here for you. And I appreciate anybody that's already given me feedback that lessons have helped. So how am I feeling about everything? Well, I'll tell you, in July, when I found out I had to do the HIPEC again, this big surgery, I had realized at that point that I had made this story in my head back from April when I was first told what the protocol was going to be. So now we've identified the reoccurrence. We're going to do treatment. What's step one and where do we go? The nurse and doctor told me that, the same thing, that we would probably do laparoscopy and big surgery, but there's a possibility that we could maybe do, if the cancer's minimum, like he might be able to just take it out on laparoscopy. And wouldn't that be great? And I thought, oh, that'll be better for healing and it won't be as long, etc. And I think in July, when I found out, hey, we got to do the big surgery, there was almost this part of me that felt like I failed. And like I had made an outcome, a goal for an outcome, and I wasn't allowed to do that outcome now. Yes, I would get to do the laparoscopy, but I had to do the big surgery. So I think the first couple of weeks, I just turned the volume down and just tried not to think about it. Went on vacation, and I had my moments where I would cry and like be sad that this was my life and why is this happening? I had a lot of feeling of like, what did I do to deserve it? But I really, in my heart, know none of us get out of this life without challenge. It doesn't matter what the challenge is. I don't fucking want it to be cancer for any of you, but God forbid if it happens, I hope my lessons and experience can allow you strength to remember that it's something you can heal from. I was stage 4 colon cancer. Nobody's ever had colon cancer in my family that I'm aware of. But this is my mountain that God gave me to move. And you will have your own. So I dealt with a lot of like guilt in the beginning, as it like shame. Like this is, it happened to me for a problem, or for like I must have done something wrong, and that's why it was happening. And so I worked through all that. Of course, that's not the case. And I think in many ways, I've realized that what I'm going through is just this. The cancer is the tool of transformation that God and the universe is using to change me for the better. And I'm holding on to that because it has changed me for the better, and I will survive this. And so it's a big part of this is transformation. So that was the first thing, was this feeling of guilt and like, what did I do to deserve this? I can't believe it has to happen again. And then I started to get into the whole, like, I don't want this to happen. Why is this happening? And just like, it was almost like this obsessive drumbeat in my head. I wish this wasn't happening. I wish this wasn't happening. I wish it wasn't happening. And, when I got back from vacation, I had to do chemo, and that made me sad to do it again. And then the following week, I think, or probably like 4 weeks ago, I started realizing when we were doing this diagnostic testing that I had it all wrong. Like, getting the HIPEC is the win. It's not a loss. It's a win, because not everybody can get the HIPEC. 1. 2, I have great medical coverage from my company. Thank freaking God, because that is not a given for many people in the United States. And I'm really grateful to have, and also have the amazing care that I have at Yale New Haven, and the surgeon, Dr. Taraka, my oncologist, Dr. Lacey, and all the nurses that have taken care of me, infusion nurses, everybody, just spectacular human beings, have been kind and supportive, and been on my team to do this. Dr. Ratner, who was my gyno-oncologist who started everything, was, Dr. Reddy, Dr. Billingsley, like, just been so lucky with all the doctors. Anyway, Dr. Haas, anyways, great doctors. And I had to reframe how I was feeling. And I reframed it to be, I'm lucky to have this surgery. I'm lucky to have this surgery, which did change the energy a bit. And it's important because I recognized I don't want the universe to think I don't want this surgery. I keep saying I don't want it, but I need it to be cured. So I need to do this surgery. Okay. And then the last week, the fear has been so palpable. And like, almost like the best visual I have is like a little kid. It's like, I don't want to go in that door. I don't want to go there. Don't make me go there. I don't want to go there. In particular about the surgery. And I really want to be honest about this because so many of you share, you're so strong and you're so strong. And I just want you to know it's not all the time. I work at having the right mindset. I am afraid. And it's very human to be afraid. This is a massive surgery. It's 8 to 10 hours. There is a possibility I could die in this surgery and I could leave my boys. What happens to them? My gut, I know that's not going to happen. I don't want you all worried about that, but it's real. These things are real. And so the fear is real. And I share that because if you have fear, the fear is a sign of something. It's not bad or good. It's just like something you have to look at. Emotions are signals to you about the story you're having or what you're going through. And you have to listen to them. So I've been feeling this fear. In particular, the worst part of it, we talked to the surgeon last week about the protocol in advance. And he said as a pain management, they're going to do an epidural. And have an epidural when I had an emergency C-section with my son 18 years ago. And it was an okay experience, but I was really freaked out to do it. And so I've always kind of been a little nervous to do it. And when we knew I had to give birth to Kit and she would die, they offered the epidural and I was so depressed. I was like, no, I don't want that. I think I felt I deserved the pain. God bless Brian for saying, this is already horrific that we have to do this. I don't want you to deal with pain you don't have to deal with. And he really asserted himself in that. And I said, okay, you're right. It wasn't that bad. So I'm remembering it's not going to be that bad. But I had, in particular, identified that one of the biggest fears I had was the fear of the pain, post-surgery pain. And I've done a lot of work over the last couple of days, and I'll tell you, I had connected pain with not being loved, and just an experience I had when I was young. And it's nothing huge. It wasn't a big deal, but it was an awareness. I managed to work through with my healer, Susan, which was great. And it opened up a whole new awareness for me that pain is not bad. Pain tells you you're alive. And, it's it's part of a process. A lot of times it's connected to love. Most of our pain we deal with on a regular basis as humans is, recently, my son going back to school and the fear or pain of like not having him nearby, or, I have good friends whose kids are going away to college. That pain, especially as a mom, is so palpable, but it comes from deep love and it's a sign of love. So this reframe about pain, and also not thinking of it more as discomfort rather than, oh, I'm going to feel this pain. It's like I was bracing for pain. Like I'm about to get punched in the face. This is going to fucking hurt, but I don't want it. And, I've let that go, and it's just less pressure, which is good. And we talked a lot about just letting the universe, my therapist talked about this with me last week, letting the universe and the doctors and being held by these people, lying on the bed, being wheeled into the operating room, like feel the bed on your back, like know these people are here to save your life, like save my life. It's just fucking hard. Save my life. It's fucking deep and intense, but this is real shit, and they're gonna save my life. There's nothing I wouldn't do to be here for my boys. And so one of the things I'm most proud of that I got from my mom is my fierce love for my family and for the people in my life. Once I love you forever. I say I love you to so many people, but I am love. And therefore I am loved. I try to show up every day with love because that's who I am. So I'm really proud of the work I'm doing around this, because it's freeing me to be the person I'm meant to be. Cancer is a tool. It's teaching me to be a better person. I'm not sure what your tool is for you, what experience you're going through right now. Maybe there's a challenge at work. Maybe there's a challenge at home. Maybe, I don't know, imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter what it is. Our challenges, our mountains are there for us to move. Show people you can move it. This is your truth. This is our truth. This world is not for us to have an easy life. This belief that life should be easy. And I'm not saying you don't want that. There's nothing wrong with wanting it, but recognizing that the challenge is what makes us deeper, better, more interesting. Our challenges that we've been through have led to this point and make us stronger human beings and allow us to be of greater service to the world around us. Remember, I said a couple weeks ago, I got this message that was like, you need to go through the fire to get to the pulpit. And I realized, like, my story will help other people at some point, and I'm going to keep holding on. Service is such a big part of who I am that this is why this is happening to me. The other thing I just want to share is that I had this awareness in July when I heard all this was going to happen and I was afraid. I just said, well, I'm going to prepare for it. Like it's like preparing for a marathon or preparing for a big game or whatever. And I think I'd become a bit obsessive or perseverating around this idea of like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do before surgery? And that was the other thing I cleared yesterday, which is this feeling of like, I don't need to do anything except show up. So this whole living in the moment thing and letting go is such a hard concept. As a planner and as a perfectionist, like if I want to control the outcome, I got to control all the steps around it. If I want to be someone who is effective, I got to plan the steps. I got to do all that. And you know what? Like you do all that, And you still have to decide shit in the moment. You still have to be the person that comes up with a new solution. So cancer is teaching me to be more in the moment. And I'm more in the moment than I've ever been. But in the last 4 weeks, I've had this planning mindset. And, I'm letting that go. I just have to show up. Each moment. Show up in each moment. Take the pressure off you. Take the pressure off you and I'll take the pressure off myself. And know you're good enough as you are. The universe will support that. The final thing around pain that I want to share is pain sucks, but there's a privilege of pain. There's a privilege to have pain, because to have pains means you're fucking alive. That's what it means. You're alive. And, none of us know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. And having been depressed and frankly, at points in my life, suicidal. I know that's a bomb to drop, but I'll talk about that in the future at some point. I'm proud of myself that I want to be alive. I got so much to do. I got a book to write. I got people to coach. I'm just getting started. So, this was a long one. If you lasted to the end, thank you. If you want to know what you can do for me, reach out. Texts, emails, messages, it's everything. Next 2 weeks are going to be kind of intense, but there'll be a lot of sitting around in my recovery. I'm so grateful for working at the company I'm working at, my manager, and the support I have. I'm just grateful, grateful, grateful. I'm grateful to so many of you for already checking in. Thank you for that. Yeah. And, if you're going through a challenge and you want to share it down below, let's do that. We are a community. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here with me. Look forward to chatting with you on the flip side of all things. All right. Love you all. Be well.